So let's get started. Till yesterday, we have taken care of discussions around concepts of geomorphology, which includes discussions around some slope ideas, the factors that control landform, time as a factor, structure as a factor, processes, and how does Penck explain it? How does Gilbert explain it? So we had a quick discussion, not as thorough as we could have been because of our time constraints, but I did point it out to you on your textbook, what you may read. So I hope you have seen all of that. And the discussion on time is important because time is in both sense. We have time in the Davissian concept. We also have time the way Gilbert talks about and Hack talks about time. A very important reference to time is Schwamm also. Schwamm's ideas of episodic time, that's an important concept, okay, in the discussion of equilibrium models in slope development. Like a landscape is a function of process, structure, and stage is a function of time and space, and the time as in stage. And talk in terms of space, it means the location, and the location will imply the processes that operate there. Today I'm discussing the slope models. We'll discuss some of the landscape development models, and we are referring to again Savindra Singh. Okay, so let us start off, please. So now in your geomorphology, I would like you to open up your textbook, please. Geomorphology textbook. Open up this chapter number 3. Open up chapter number 3. The initial 2 or 3 pages are very nice concepts which you can use across many answers. Okay. So I'll just take you through a couple of sentences that are very, very nicely phrased. So you note down those points, the sentences, and see how you can use it. Like say, on page number 57, page 57, okay, a second column, page 57, second column, I'm reading from the second line. It says, the conceptual vacuum created by the rejection of Davissian cyclic model of landforms could not be filled up as yet in spite of postulation of non-cyclic model of landform development. What it's saying is, Davis had some concepts, time and stage and whatever, and a lot of theories have tried to reject Davis. A lot of theories have tried to come up as an alternative to Davis. But what we realize is, not all the theories have succeeded. Page number 57. Chandan, page number 57. Okay. Now, despite the fact that Davissian model has some limitations and a lot of alternative theories have been suggested, but the fact is, even now, we have not been able to develop a comprehensive theory of landscape or landform development. Then he says, next paragraph it says, questions arise as to why no such common theory could be postulated, which can be acceptable to majority of geomorphologists and can be applied in different environmental conditions. Why have we not been able to develop a comprehensive theory? The reason being that there's tremendous diversity that we have around us. The processes are complex. The time over which the processes act are very, very long, difficult to conceptualize theories based on such long geological histories. The rock variations are tremendous, climate changes are tremendous. So it says, C.G. Higgins has opined that it would seem that one reason we lack an acceptable theory of landscape development is that there is so much of diversity of opinion about structure, process, and form, as there is diversity among structure, process, and landforms themselves. How we interpret this diversity is as much as the diversity itself. How we think forms change, how we think erosion happens, how we think deposition happens. What is our view about endogenic forces interacting with the erosional processes? It says there's a lot of diversity in nature, and even the interpretations of diversity is very, very high. It's thus obvious that there is spatial and temporal variation in factors, and that's what probably making one theory so difficult. Look at the last sentence of this column. It says, according to C.G. Higgins, the controversy regarding the theories of landform development has surfaced because of the fact that theories have been oversimplified. The nature is very complex. The nature has tremendous diversity. And what we have done is, we have tried to simplify the reality into a small model. So Davis very conveniently ignores structure and processes. Penck ignores time entirely. Okay. King ignores the diversity of climate and their impacts. So if you look at the models that we have developed, to some extent, yes, it is a compulsion. To some extent, okay, we cannot really do without such assumptions. But these assumptions are what destroy the possibility of a proper theory. So I repeat, this discussion is a very nice discussion if you want to end up an answer on slope development, landscape theories, if you want to comment on the different models of slope evolution and so on. That despite so many attempts, despite so much of research and studies, we still have not been able to come up with one single theory. As C.G. Higgins says, the controversy regarding the theories of landform development have surfaced because the theories have been oversimplified. Look at the next page, page number 58. Page 58, it says, there may be no definitive theory or geomorphic system that can fit all landscapes. It's impossible to have one theory or one system which can capture all the diversity that we have around us. Schramm has also corroborated the ideas of Higgins, and he has aptly remarked, most models of geomorphic evolution are oversimplified and therefore they are unsatisfactory for short-term interpretation of landform change. Therefore, very complex denudatial history of a landscape may be geomorphologically normal. Exactly. One size fits all cannot be the solution. One type of theory explaining everything is almost impossible if we look at the range of diversity we have in the nature. So my suggestion, this is a very nice insight. You can quote C.G. Higgins, H.G. Higgins, you can quote Schramm, you can mention those specific words that they have used, the idea of oversimplification. Okay. This is one discussion. And the discussion was, why is it not possible to have one geomorphic theory that represents all the landform development and all the landform variations? Okay. Now we move on. Page number 59. Yeah, please all of you be attentive with me. Page 59, look at the first column. The first column, look at the last section of the first column. According to C.G. Higgins, 1975. According to C.G. Higgins, okay, 1975, a geomorphic theory must seek solution of the following three lines of inquiry. Any theory in landform and landscape development should try to explain three things. One is how landforms can be best described. Number two, how these have formed and how these have changed over time. And number three, which processes have formed them and how these processes operate. There's a beautiful a summary of what geomorphic theories and what landscape model theories, what do all these ideas of Davis and Penck and J.T. Hack and all try to do. They're trying to develop a model that seeks to describe landforms. They try to tell us the processes, how they operate and how they have changed. And they also don't tell us how the landforms have changed because of the processes. So again, a very nice introduction if you're trying to write an answer on landscape, landform, or models of landscape development. Let's move on. Now, I want you to know three terms. Landform models, landscape models and theories, even slope models, can be classified under 2-3 approaches. Okay. They can be classified under 2 or 3 approaches. One approach is the historical approach. I repeat, your heading is approaches in landform study or approaches in geomorphic theories. Okay, so there are 2-3 approaches in which all the studies can be grouped into, can be organized into. Number one is the approach called as historical approach. That is essentially Davis. Stage, time, evolution, the concept of progressive changes, the concept of base level as a final type of landscape, penny plane. That's historical approach. The second type of approach is what's called as functional approach. Functional approach focuses on the processes, what processes operate. Okay, we have processes like erosion, denudation, upliftment, endogenetic processes, exogenetic processes, processes like parallel retreat, processes like slope replacement. So we have got functional theories. And functional theories, they can be also put under process theories. Okay? The third category is what are called as realist theories. Now, these type of theories, they are essentially extensions of the functional theories. They also talk about processes, but along with discussion of two things. Number one, they talk about changes in shorter time spans. They're more realistic in that sense. They don't talk in terms of the long-term changes, talk about the short-term changes and the impact of local conditions like local structure, local material, and local geomaterial reality. So on the process, if you add shorter time scales, on the processes, if you add the factors of local conditions, such as I said, structural controls, it now becomes a realistic approach. The first approach is historical approach. In your textbook, there are 4 or 5 of them. I want to focus on 3 of them. So check up, please, page number 61. Page 61. Okay. Historical approach, 1 column discussion on Davis model. What is historical approach? Time, evolution, stage, okay, progressive decline, ignoring upliftment processes. So that's all about, okay. Even denudation chronology is a type of historical approach. The second approach is page number 62, which is the functional theories. Functional theories is a type of, it says, new geomorphology. This is focusing on processes. It talks about forms and how the forms are the consequence of processes. Page 62, first column, last paragraph. It says, the main basis of functional theories is functional relationship between forms and the processes. That is the cause and the effect relationship. The major mythological shift in geomorphology after the Second World War was characterized by the appearance of new geomorphology and scientific geomorphology. So this is something like Penck, but a bit more refined. So we have moved on towards Stoller's model. We talk about J.T. Heck's model. We talked about Schwamm's model. This is the functional. And to this functional, if I add geomaterial, local structure, local time, typically what Schwamm says, that now becomes the realistic approach. Page number 62, second column, last paragraph. The realist approach. The realist theory is, in fact, an extension and the modified form of functional theory. The basis of realist theory is a study of structure, geomaterial, of which the landform has been formed, and the physical and the chemical processes which are responsible for development and sustenance of external forms of landforms. In other words, the study of detailed causal mechanisms, and material of landform. That's why I'm saying this is at a very, very small level. We have got micro geomorphology. The time scale is smaller, the space scale is smaller. It talks about processes in that sense. Thus, realist theory emphasizes the detailed and the minute investigations of physical and chemical mechanisms operating in the geomaterial and the geological structure within the external forms, and goes on, because these mechanisms are responsible for the creation, change and maintenance of geomorphic features. So we had two discussions. One is, why is it difficult to have only one theory? And second, what are the schools of thought in geomorphological studies? The third approach is realist theory, page number 62. Realist theory, page number 62. Okay, so we've taken care of this. Now, I think you have no problem with Davis model. Okay, Davis model, you all are supposed to know the conditions, the basis, know the landforms of each stage, what is in youth, what's in mature, what's in senile. Okay, we know about the second cycle, which is essentially rejuvenation. Okay, you know the idea of normal cycle. So please list down quickly what all is Davis model. So Davis model, historical approach, time-based approach, evolution, progressive changes, stage, penny plane, ignoring upliftment. Okay, so you understand all of this. Now what I will want is page number 68. Okay, I repeat, page number 68. I would like you to look up this quick discussions on what are the positive aspects of Davis model and what are the negative aspects of Davis model. Okay, so the concept itself, you know, what are the positives? So please be with me and quickly one word summarizations. If now or maybe after the lecture gets over, you have the page number with you, you can go on there. So positive aspects, number one, it is simple, applicable, simple, okay, not too much complicated, too many things. Number two, again, the same idea, it is simple and okay, that way it's remarkably easy, more or less repetition. The third advantage, it is based on detailed field study. Okay, detailed field study, not a general generalizations like the way Elsie King was trying. Okay, it is field study. Then it says that in a way, Davis model starts off the geomorphic tradition in study. Because before Davis, the studies in geomorphology were largely those given by Hutton, and some of it was given by Gilbert. But a proper approach, okay, a proper school of thought is started with Davis. So that way Davis becomes the father of geomorphology. Okay, it came as a general theory of landform development after a long gap of Hutton's cyclic nature. Then this is one of the first models of landform development. Like he talks about a model which is a kind of a physical representation of what's happening in reality. It's one of the first models with base level concept, with the landform classified. Okay, it is simple model. It is based on detailed study, and with his model, he has tried to predict what can happen in the future. Okay, so these 4 or 5 points are the positive aspects. The negative aspects is he considers upliftment only in the initial phases. Otherwise, he ignores upliftment. Second, it says is erosion is considered only after upliftment gets over. Okay, erosion is considered only after upliftment gets over. But can I request all of you one thing? You guys are so busy asking me doubts, you don't even realize I have moved on 3 points. Okay, stop typing. Somebody's asking a page number, others are answering the page number. So if you have joined late, be patient, please. Okay, आपका काम है किताब से पढ़ना, underline करना. How do you have time to type also? I don't understand. Because don't distract yourself. Okay, and if you have doubts, we'll see. We'll take up your doubts afterwards. Okay, so no chatting on the chat box. I'll disable otherwise. Be with me. I'm moving fast. I cannot teach you like I'm hand holding you. Okay, I'll have to move fast, indicate, and move on. Okay, so please don't distract yourself and others. Okay, now there's another suggestion coming up. Please disable chat. Okay. Anyways, come back. Okay. So the negative aspects are, number one, he ignores upliftment. Upliftment only for a short time. That erosion follows, okay, only after upliftment gets over. He assumes a prolonged state of crustal stability. Point number 3, a prolonged state of crustal stability. Point number 4, it says, okay, his was a time-dependent model. So too much emphasis on time and the structure process was ignored. Okay. His model was also rejected by equilibrium theories, because the fact is landforms are the consequence of balance between internal and external processes. The point number 5 mein hai. Equilibrium theories have rejected him. Okay. Then look at point number 7. The concept of grade was a difficult one. I hope you remember while discussing grade, I said that to you. The concept of grade is not compatible in the Davis model. Why? Because grade talks about a kind of a balance which is not possible in a closed system. It's impossible the net erosion or deposition by a river becomes zero before the river reaches the base level. So you cannot have grade type of balance in the later mature phases. So grade is incompatible in his theory. So very nice summary. Pluses are simple. First model, easy to understand. Okay. It is a theory that tries to predict how landforms can change. Okay. And the negatives are time, processes like upliftment ignored. Okay. You talk about, you can also add the idea of normal cycle is very, very prejudiced. Normal cycle, page number 69. Normal cycle, okay, is not mentioned here, but it does mention the concept of grade. Okay, so I hope you have understood the idea called as Davisian analysis. It is ethnocentric, absolutely, Abhinandan. Ethnocentric, why? Because it's limited to applicability in the temperate, humid conditions of North America. Okay, now, let's move on towards Penck's model. I'm helping you summarize better, right? Now, Penck's model, you understand, geologist, a balanced interaction between endogenetic and exogenetic. And because he talks about so many factors interacting together, Penck's model is about internal forces, external denudation. There is some reference to control of structure and slopes also. So Penck's model is an example of morphological system analysis. Penck's model is an example of morphological analysis also. Somebody asked this to me today. Okay, page number 69, second column, please. Page 69, second column. Look at the second paragraph of second column. It may be pointed out that German scientist Walter Penck pleaded for rejection of Davisian model of geomorphic cycle based on time dependent and presented his own morphological system or morphological analysis for the explanation of landscape development. The main goal of Penck's model of morphological system was to find out the mode of development and the causes of crustal movement on the basis of exogenic processes and morphological characteristics. Morphological characteristics are the structural characteristics of a region. Okay. By the way, if you want some detail here, you can look up. Page number 279. Page number 279. Okay. Second column. Second column. Now, it has listed down the properties of the form. This is a typical what's called as morphological characteristics. What are the properties of the form that decide how Penck's model operates? So he talks about degree of reduction. How much can the rocks be reduced or broken? Degree of mobility of regolith. Okay, how the sediments can be moved across slopes, the thickness of regolith, the thickness of sediments, which again depends on slope. It depends on rock properties. The next page talks about climate. It talks about slope angle, page number 280. Okay, there is the role of climate, there's the role of slope angle. So when you link all of this together, we call this as morphological analysis of landforms. So the study is not simply about how landforms change in time. The study is about how all these factors operate together as a part of a morphological system. Why Penck's model is considered to be a morphological concept. Okay. Now we move on. And the details, please look up the textbook and your class notes. You have the phase of waxing, the waning, the constant growth. We have the gleimorphige entwicklung. We've got abstigende. We have got aufstigende. So all those terms I expect you know. Okay, the concave slopes, Boschens, the Heldenhangs, the convex slopes are Boschens. So I presume all of this you know. Page number 72. Page number 72. Look at somewhere in between. In between it says that this slope is called gravity slope or Boschingen. Boschingen are the convex slopes. The lower segment of valley sides, page number 72. 72, first column. Okay, the darkened couple of words in between. It says parallel retreat of valley side slopes still continues. Now the valley side slope consists of two segments. Okay. The uppermost segment maintains a steep angle, and this slope is called as gravity slope or Boschingen or Boschens. The lower segment of valley sides are called as wash slopes or Heldenhangs. Heldenhang composed of talus. Talus is all the broken sediments accumulating or broken rocks accumulating of talus material of lower inclination. So Heldenhangs have gentle slopes. They are like concave. Boschens have steep slopes. They are convex. Okay, and we have got Rumpf, we have got Inselbergs, and so on. So Penck's model you understand. Okay. Now let's move on towards L.C. King's model. Davis model done. Penck's model done. Let's move on towards L.C. King's model. Okay. Now, L.C. King's model is a bit different, given in 1948, and page number 72, there are 3-4 phrases here. Please be with me, page 72, second column, geomorphic model of L.C. King. Okay. The model is called as epigene cycle, जो आपका पूछा हुआ question था. It's also the pediplenation cycle. It is also the hill slope cycle. Please remember these terms. Hill slope cycle. It is the model of pediplenation. So all these terms apply for King's model. And King's model, okay, now important point, okay, that King's model is an example of climatic uniformitarianism. Example of climatic uniformitarianism, that is, irrespective of the climate, the processes and the landforms are same. Okay. King's model is against climatic geomorphology. King does not believe that as climates change, landforms can change. He believes, irrespective of the climate, the savanna landscape is the representative landscape for the world. So the savanna type of conditions is the normal conditions for the world. So that's one point. Okay. It says, page number 72, look at the second column, last paragraph in italics. The reference system of King's model is that there is uniform development of landforms in varying environmental conditions, and there is insignificant influence of climatic changes in the development of flugally originated landforms. Major landscapes in all continents have been evolved by rhythmic events. There's continuous migration of hill slope, and retreat is always parallel retreat. Okay, this was the important point. Irrespective of the environmental conditions, the slopes and the landforms and the landscape will be same. This is the second point. The third point is that L.C. King's model was based on a very broad survey not detailed field analysis. Very broad survey and not detailed field analysis. By the way, have you all seen the video I shared yesterday on Telegram channel, where I was discussing one of the last year's questions? Okay, how did he get influenced by Davis and Penck and A. Wood? Oh, very nice. And in that discussion, I have also shown the page numbers that you'll have to consider. Okay. No, we don't use the word climatic uniformitarianism in Davis concept. Why? Because the idea of climatic geomorphology came later. Okay. Climatic geomorphology was a later development, and those who opposed it were called as climatic uniformitarianism. So we don't use the word climatic uniformitarianism for Davis, although his ideas are something like that. Okay, okay, Abhinandan. Let's get back. So now, next is in King's model. In King's model, there are three basic elements. Now, see, many of us know the theory, but we do not know exactly how to represent our ideas, what to write and what not to write. How do we phrase it? We have a problem. So I'm suggesting keep the phrasing the way the book has it. That the model of King is also called as the cyclic model of pediplanation. And in his model of pediplanation, there are three basic elements. There are three things that are important to his theory. Number one is, okay, that there are river pediments. River pediments as in the very flat surface. Okay, I could discuss this. Look at my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen with you guys. Okay, so if this is the slope that we have, okay, if this is the slope that we have, a very gentle slope, and this is the ground surface, this gentle slope is what's called as the pediment. This is at the foot of a scarp face. And in King's model, you remember, we need to have this steep scarp face. If we do not have this scarp face, the model doesn't operate. And this is the very gentle sloping pediment. Okay. Now, in King's model, we need both of this. We need this scarp face, and we also need the pediment. And the third thing that we need in Penck's model is that ultimately also refers to those gentle residual hills, which are called as Inselbergs. So his theory has these three things. Look at page number 73. Look at page number 73. Last but one paragraph. After extensive study of South American landscape scenery, King was convinced that African landscape consisted of three basic elements: the rock pediments, flanking the river valley and having a concave slope, very gentle, about 1.5 to 7 degrees cut. Scarp faces are steep slopes, okay, angle of 50, 30 degrees, which experience parallel retreat. The scarp face, the process of parallel retreat, okay, operates for the scarp face. So if this is the scarp face, okay, the parallel retreat happens for this face. Okay, so we need this. And the third thing it says, back to your textbook, please. Look at the third line from scarp. It says, the third element comprises steep side residual hills called as Inselbergs. So you need to know this three elements as a part of his theory. Then, in King's model, there are two processes. So if I summarize, King's model has three elements. Okay, there are three elements in King's model, and there are two processes in King's model. And the processes include, number one, the process of scarp retreat, and number 2, the process of pedimentation. So look at again page 73, first column, last sentence. Okay, first column, last sentence. The cycle of pediplenation is performed by twin processes of scarp retreat. So the processes are, number 1 is the scarp retreat process, and the second process is the process of pedimentation, okay, or also called as pediplenation. Okay, so you must know this. The third thing you must know about Davis model is that Davis model, LC King's model has 3 stages. There are 3 stages which are youthful stage, mature stage, and senile stage. And this is where LC King kind of is influenced by Davis model. Page number 73. Page 73. Okay. So you can see there are youth stage, there are some features. Mature stage, some features are there. And page number 74, we have the old stage. And this together, okay, is the theory of pediplenation. Okay, now what I want is, look up page number 74. Page 74, evaluation. Okay, look at the concept of evaluation now. Now in evaluation, I'm reading up for you. It says, if we compare the geomorphic models of W.M. Davis and L.C. King, both models are compatible to some extent, as both envisage cyclic development of landscape wherein the cycle of erosion begins with rapid upliftment of short period followed by long crustal stability. That's how they are same. They're same because both talk about a flat surface eventually in the senile stage. Okay, both are same because they talk in terms of stage. There's youth stage, a mature and senile stage. Okay, so these are some of the similarities, but then of course, L.C. King goes beyond that and adds many more things inspired by Penck and Airwood. Okay, so I think more or less you understand the idea of L.C. King. Okay, now just one concept of L.C. King I would like you to add is, look at my screen again, I'm sharing with all of you. Okay, this is the original scarp face forming a very gentle pediplane, and with time this one erodes a bit more and there is a vertical drop here. With time this erodes a bit more, there's a drop here, and this also erodes a bit more and a drop here. So what you get is series of new scarp faces. Series of new scarp faces. The first pediplane is now being replaced by another one below. So this looks like a staircase, a trepan stairway. That's all. Okay, so I think this is done. Fine, we are done with L.C. King's model and the concepts here. The evaluation you can look up.